Greetings, greetings. It's Family Heritage with Vanessa-Mary. So I'm just going to read out the introduction while we settling. I am going live. So if you're new to this conversation, this is my weekly show where I'm exploring stories, values, and experiences that shape our families and our businesses, and also the legacy that we leave behind. Now, I'm asking for you to either watch the live or the replay. It's really your choice and what suits your family and the activities that you've got going on. But I invite you to reflect on family leadership, well-being, and the lessons that we can pass on from one generation to the next. So if you're new here and you're not familiar with who I am, my name's Vanessa-Mary and I am a strategic wellbeing partner. I specialize in working with leaders in family led businesses. So for me, that will be mums and dads in business, or people that work in a family enterprise together. So it could be a father and his son, a mother and her daughter, two cousins working together, whatever the combination means for you and your family. But if you are listening in and you're not in business, don't tune off, because I am trying to create something that everyone can find a story or maybe a little bit of my wisdom or some of the things that I like to share that would be good for you and your family. Now, something that I haven't quite figured out, which I just want to try and do this. How do I send it to Facebook? If you are on Facebook and you're watching, I can see that some people have started tuning in. If you're watching me on Facebook, please do let me know that you're here, because it's becoming my little bugbear. How do I get it? Oh, I think I do it like that. Oh, I think I do. Right, I'm just going to press next. And hopefully that will go to my Facebook main page. So let me get on with it. I am on episode number 8. So thank you. If you're tuning in live, please let me know, or give me a wave. Let me know who you are, what platform you're tuning in from, because this is live streaming across 3 platforms. So today we're talking about growing through every season. And I'm just going to do a backtrack quickly. So last week I spoke about our roots. So that was about the people who are really shaping us to become the men and the women that we are today. Now, obviously, you could be watching this. Like I said, it could be the replay, it could be the live version. I don't even know how old you are. For me now, I'm in a different chapter of my life. I had a very I can't say it, very special celebration year at the beginning of the year. So I think they call me middle-aged. I mean, I'm not accepting that at all, but hey ho, that's the label. But what I'm talking about is I've got some strong roots now, okay? So I've been around for a while, okay? So if you don't know who I am, I'm based in Nottingham. I've got adult children and I've got a little 7-year-old, and I'm also a grandmother as well. So I feel like I have something to share here, but having strong roots doesn't mean that life stays the same. It certainly hasn't for me, because we grow, we change, we enter different seasons. So even last night I was on a call with my little grandbaby. She's just amazing. My oldest grandbaby is amazing, but the little one, she was so enthusiastic with some of the work that we were doing. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I'm actually been talking, particularly on LinkedIn, about recognizing the seasons that we're in and how we grow into each different season. So the question that I would like to start today's conversation with is, what season are you in right now? And what is that season asking of you? The word for the year, so I like to ask my family at the beginning of each year, what is your word for the year? And my word for the year is build. Now, I'm recording this on the 9th of August. We're right in the middle of the Lionsgate portal, which is a fantastic portal for energy and for manifestation. But actually, my word, it's still built, don't get me wrong, but I'm in a season of release. I'm in a season of letting go. So just have a think about that as you listen to this conversation today. So, just a quick recap. So, not the week that we're just coming out of, but the week before, I had plans for that week in my business, but actually, governance issues halted those plans, and I had to reorganize my week, my time, my thinking, and I had to address a particular problem that was coming up. Okay, now maybe that's something that you find yourself doing yourself, that you've got an idea. So I am talking to you, whether you're a business owner, whether you are at the heights of your profession where you have to be organized. Maybe you do plan your week out, but for some reason it doesn't always pan out like that. So then, thankfully, this week, so I'm recording this on Sunday, this week has been a very different week. I've onboarded 2 new clients. I've got another client that I'm onboarding this week coming up, because, in a sense, the growth is there, but it was like the governance issue had kind of stopped me from moving forward. And I'll unpack that a little bit as we go on. So the first week wasn't necessarily a difficult week, okay, or a bad week. It was just asking me to show up differently as the leader of my enterprise. Now, if you've been following this series, I like to talk about grandmother's wisdom. So this week, I'm going to turn to the wisdom of my grandmother, Annie. And before I go on, we've had a new arrival in our family. I do apologise, any of my cousins listening in. I've not had a chance to check into the family WhatsApp, but congratulations to my cousin David, who has had a little baby. So I need to jump on that and give a shout out. So, my grandmother Annie isn't with us anymore, but her wisdom was so strong and definitely has stayed with me. And one of the phrases that grandmother Annie would say is, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Okay. Now, for me, those words are not necessarily about material success. It was about her determination. It was about her hope. It was about her belief in herself and the way she would encourage us as her offspring to have that same attribute within us, particularly as we were facing different elements of our life. And we were maybe, the self-doubt was kicking in, and we had to really say, no, I'm going to make it. So I love that about my grandmother. It was an internal conversation, which again has stayed with me. Now, I have introduced my book club in the earlier episodes of this show. So if you're just tuning in and you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I have a Sunday Rising reading circle. It's completely free to attend, and I actually talk about personal development titles. So I'm not going to tell you all the titles that we've read, but I believe we're on title number 3 now. So we are reading this book. You might have heard of the title, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, by Susan Jeffers. It's a very famous book. It says on this one, over 2 million copies sold worldwide. Now, if you are familiar with the book and you've read it yourself personally, would you like to let me know what you can remember, what stood out for you? If you're not familiar with the book and you'd like to join us, then you can either write me a message in the comment or send me a private DM, and I'll let you know how you can connect with us over there. And today we've started on chapter 5, which is Pollyanna Rides Again. And what stood out for me is the fact that she's talking about how when you are speaking about negative things, people can, not always, it depends on who you're around, obviously, but some people can like sit in that energy with you, okay? Whereas maybe the positive things that you're thinking about, people are like, oh, oh, you're just sort of like being too, I don't know, optimistic, or they're just maybe not taking you seriously. But Susan challenges that in the first part of the chapter. And that goes back to what my grandmother Annie was telling us, that I'm going to make it was an attitude, it was a self belief. If we're going to grow through every season, then how we talk to ourselves is important. That inner dialogue, do not forget that your words have power. So if you are talking to yourself, if your inner self talk is negative, then what you will see showing up in your life will maybe not be what you wanting to manifest. Okay. And equally, if your inner talk is I'm going to make it, even if the reality all around you is like, don't worry, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. The subconscious mind is reacting to the sound of your voice. So what are you telling yourself on a regular basis? So as we go through, we are now talking about growth can mean doing things differently. And I just want to share a beautiful experience that happened to me on Thursday in Leicester. I was invited by one of the original members of the Seeds community. So shout out to my soul sister, Karina, for actually gifting me with such a beautiful experience. She came all the way from Derby to collect me. We spent such a wonderful time together as two women going through our own spiritual growth and evolution. And we went to this session where it was about deep breath work. It was about somatic practice. And that's really when you're tuning into your body and you're listening to your body. Now, I do recognize my work as an emotional fitness healer, but I've never really done breath work. I know about box breathing. I suppose I was kind of like getting in tune with it. But after the experience on Thursday evening, honestly, there was a massive emotional shift that came through to me. And even like, I don't know, it's hard to explain because the energy is still settling, okay? But I can feel a shift within myself. And I feel that that's now part of the next chapter of my growth, because what I explain to people, being a strategic well-being partner, I still use the word healer interchangeably, is the fact that your growth is also about what you are doing on a regular basis. Now, I just want to actually share a quick story of changes that I've made within my business. So many of you, particularly if you're listening to this on Facebook, you'll know that I do a well-being class with families in Nottingham, which is about dance, music, movement, and everything. Okay. Now, I've always traditionally done that class on a Friday, but about a month ago, I would say, I was listening to what regular clients were telling me. I was looking at some of the little ones who were going to be moving on. And I really decided that it was time to make some changes within that delivery model. So I've actually made a decision that my Zumbini sessions will be moved to a Saturday. So it feels exciting because I've been doing these classes for the last 4 years. But moving into the next chapter of growth, I want to do things differently. And the same has come about within the Seeds community. So if you're not familiar with the Seeds community and you're watching this either on YouTube or Facebook, I'm going to leave a link to the LinkedIn page for the Seeds community. And equally, if you're watching this on LinkedIn and you're not yet having a look at that page, please do. If this message is resonating with you, please have a look at the work that we're doing over there, because I've made shifts in the way how I'm showing up, my messaging, even the work that is happening inside the Facebook community is changing. So I feel that as a well-being practitioner, a well-being healer, who has literally, I'm going into the next season, I've been immersed in this type of industry these thoughts, these ideas, supporting men and women and children to raise their frequency, vibration, healing from within, okay, through many, many different forms, many different types of events, that I want to make a change in how I'm showing up. So again, if you are listening to this on Facebook, I have made amazing changes inside the Facebook group. We have now rebranded to call it Living the Wellbeing Reset. And really interesting things are happening over there. So again, today's conversation is how are we growing through every season. So my message, I just want to say to you that sometimes growth isn't about creating something new. Just be careful if you find yourself having shiny, what do they call it? Shiny, I can't even say it properly, but basically when you just can't keep shiny object, that's it, shiny object syndrome, where everything feels like a good idea. You're talking to this one and they say, oh, why don't you do this? You're talking to that one and your head just starts spinning. If you want to grow well through every season, I would suggest that maybe you have an opportunity to look at what you're already doing and go within, okay? There's different ways that you can get these thoughts and these ideas to come through to you. And if you want to talk to me about that, reach out to me. In fact, I've got something very exciting coming up at the end of summer. I'm not going to tell you now, but that's where we'll be doing this type of deeper work, this type of manifestation work, okay? So I can show you how you can go within and how maybe what you're doing just needs repackaging. You just need to look at something in a different way, from a different perspective. So growing through every season is about maybe looking at what you're doing, but with different eyes. So that leads me on to just letting you know about the Seeds Consultancy. I asked myself a different question. I've been showing up for the last 30 years, supporting leadership, supporting organizations, but yet I wasn't quite doing that within this framework of the Seeds community. I had to sit down. I had to start asking myself these different questions. So by doing that, I've already been able to onboard 2 clients last week into my Seeds Consultancy and another client's onboarding this week. I actually feel like I'm just turning up as myself, but I've made sure that by growing in every season and making my messaging sharper, being clearer about the outcomes that these particular clients are going to get, it's helping me to support new clients. So again, what is it that you have already got? What are your gifts and talents that you've already got that maybe you're just thinking, okay, but you know, how can I get more people to pay me for this? So there is a way that we can do that. And if you want to speak to me, I'm more than happy to give you some ideas. So my closing reflection, if anything that I've said to you today has resonated with you, please do leave me a message. I'm on episode number 8. I show up on a Sunday because this is a good time for me to do these recordings around my family, okay? It doesn't mean that I'm expecting you to watch the live. If you're watching the replay, please do let me know that you were here. My closing reflection is, growth doesn't always mean that we're doing things bigger. Sometimes growth is actually because we're changing direction. Sometimes we're protecting our capacity. Okay. Sometimes it means that we're trying something different. Sometimes it means that we're learning to speak to ourselves with greater kindness, with greater compassion. Sometimes it means that we are making sure that we are being heard in a different way to those who we are seeking to serve. So I want you to maybe, again, go back to that original question, recognizing what season am I in. If you're not sure what season you're in, again, please reach out to me. I actually have a very simple quiz that tells you the answer. I think it takes about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you can find out what season you're in. And is this season asking you to show up any differently? So that is it for this week. Please tune in to next week. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the hands that have supported you to grow, because we don't get here on our own. Now, remember, we're all at different parts of our journey, okay? But wherever you are on your particular timeline, maybe you recognize that you never got there alone. So that's what I'll be talking about in more depth next week. I trust that something I've said to you has supported you, even in some small way. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your time. My name's Vanessa-Mary. I am a strategic wellbeing partner, and it's been wonderful to share these thoughts with you. I will be back next week. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Thank you. Bye.